Hi, I'm Brian. I'm an alcoholic. I have experience with these steps as they're laid out in this book. With the help of a Big Book Step Study sponsor, a patient and loving God, meetings like these, actively making amends and incorporating 10, 11, 12 and these spiritual principles into my life on a daily basis. Thank you, Joe, for asking. Last night as we were sitting on the couch, just grateful to be here this morning because I'm grateful to be able to share at any Alcoholics Anonymous meeting because I'm not dead. The truth is I shouldn't be sitting here. But the truth is too, God saw fit for me to be sitting here. So God's plan is much greater than mine. And, my drinking was no mere habit. If it was a habit, I probably wouldn't be sitting in this room. It became uncontrollable, unmanageable, and I was very much powerless. I started at a very young age. I won't talk about my drunk log very much, but I'll tell you, at a very young age, I lived in a lot of fear about who I was not comfortable in my own skin, so I used alcohol and drugs to feel that comfort. And talks about in one of the stories in the back of the book, it says, what was once our best friend became our worst enemy. And that alcohol and drugs were my best friend at one point, and it turned on me. And it took everything from me. It took my soul. Because I didn't care about you. I didn't care about me. And so from a very young age, I learned to retreat into myself and not expose to you who I really was. And I was very good at that. I was very good at acting. And the drugs and the alcohol allowed me to stay in that for many years. And so by the time I was 18 years old, I was 12-stepped by a teacher in my high school. And the truth is, he was very attractive, so I went along with it. I can say that now because before I was too scared to say anything about being gay, but I am a gay male, but now I can say that. So I followed him to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous because I was attracted to him. I had no idea what I was getting into. I had ulterior motives. And so 18 years old, I'm at a meeting in Southbridge, Mass. On Hamilton Street, and I'm like, what is this all about? Why did I walk into this room? And first it was a beginner's meeting, and the guy chairing said, if anybody moves, I'm going to call on you. So I froze. I was a statue. I did not move. And then we went to the main meeting after. I got a coin. I'm like, I don't know what this coin's for, but okay, he's attractive. I'm going to get this coin. So that's what I did, and thus started my journey in recovery. And I haven't been sober since 1998. I fought. I will not allow this disease to beat me. That's how my mindset was. I can. It works now?
Yes.
I'm like, I always believe that lie that I can manage this. And it says again in the 12 and 12, it says only an act of providence can remove this from us, right? But I didn't want to believe that. So I fought. I fought up until, over the past 18 years, I've had periods of sobriety, 2, 3 years, 19 months, 11 months, 10 months, 3 months, 1 week. You know what I mean? Again, I'm coming, almost up on 2 years again. So, around 2 years ago, almost, I was resentful, full of fear. I'm like, I'm going to show this person. And wasn't even sure what actually was happening, what I thought in my mind took place actually took place, but I believed that it did, and I used it as an excuse. I went on a 5-day run, and I was asked to leave my home. That had been, the locks were changed, back in my mom's house on the couch, and I have to tell you, the grace of God entered my life at that moment, because I was at my mom's house, and I'm praying because I don't want to die. And I have access to all of her money, her pills, and I didn't want to use. And I didn't want to smoke crack anymore. I didn't want to drink anymore. And thus started my journey. And what I did is I actually got back into the work that I should have been doing after my 5th step. That's the truth. The truth is, for me, if I skimp on any of this work, I will drink. It's not just the 4th step, it's the 9th step, it's the 10th step, it's the 2nd step, it's the 3rd step. If I skimp on any of it, I'm going to drink. I'm going to use drugs. So I don't take that for granted anymore. And so as it says in the first paragraph here, I did that drastic self-appraisal, and I still have to today, because I still believe the crap in my head. So the only way I was able to essentially generate a list here is actually not from my 4-step, but I had to do a 4-step in order to see how I live without God. I had to see how I acted in my relationships with people, even places or things. And I had to actively do this work to see that. And so I read I come back, and again in 2009, and I was working with a gentleman. Of course, when you pick up, you disappear. Well, I do, and I don't talk to anybody that's healthy, and I go to people, places, and things that will promote my drug use and alcoholism. So came back to this individual in 2009, and I said, look, I just need to continue writing my 4-step. He laughed at me. He said, really? He's like, you're just coming back off of a run, and you seem to think you know what's best for you. Do you not see the insanity in that? I said, well, the writing will save me. He's like, absolutely not. The writing will not save you. That's not what this program is. It's not the 4th and 5th step, Ryan. It's the 12 steps. And the truth is, he said to me at that moment, these 12 steps will not keep you sober. Meetings will not keep you sober. People, places, and things will not keep you sober. He's like, but I guarantee you one thing will keep you sober if you seek it. God. I said, okay. And I believed him. I saw a spiritual flip in this dude. You know what I mean? He was a miserable SOB. Then 2 years later, I see him, and he's got like this peace and this love and this God. And I'm like, what did he do? And so thus started the work. And that was in 2009. And, again, struggling. I'll speed it up here. I was in a relationship. I'm still in that relationship. Now married to the person I started dating then. And, I put things before my work, and that's my work suffered. My relationship with God suffered. But I eventually put down the substance, and I jumped into this work and wrote and did my 5th, and we had some good laughs, and got to 6 and 7. He's like, go home, spend that hour with God, and read 6 and 7, because he said the truth is still, Brian, he's like, don't make a list of your defects. That's your ego. You can't remove them, so allow God to do his work. That's the truth. You can't remove your defects like you can't remove your alcoholism, so don't bother trying. And he's like, make that list. He's like, pray. Don't go back into your 4th step. I want you to pray about your list, and you make it from there. And I said, okay. And that same evening, I finished my 5th. I did that work, and I spent the hour with God, and I put a list together of amends and of people, and places and things. Because I was a thief from the very start, man. I loved stealing. So I owe people money. I owe places money. And so I generated the list. I prayed, and I said the 3rd step, as I do whenever I write or I go over stuff with my sponsor today. We say the 3rd step, and put this list together, and there was people, places, and things on it. And and I took it from there, and the truth be told, when I did my list then, and this is none of my, I don't blame this on any person, place, or thing. My sponsor wasn't readily available when I was actively starting to do these amends, so I kind of balked somewhat. I jumped right into it at first, and then I started to balk. And, I stopped making them. And I said I was, which was a lie, so I shouldn't have been sharing at these meetings. Another lie. So I stopped making them, and essentially wasn't working with people, essentially believed the crap in my head again, and I picked up again. And again. And again. And up until almost 2 years ago. And so what I'm doing actively today is I actively write out the amends that I'm going to make. I call my sponsor, we go over it, and then I make the demonstration. It's that simple today. I don't complicate it any more than that. And, I still have some individuals on that list. I've made a few financial amends. I have some more financial amends to make. I actually just mailed out a financial amends. My sponsor, now that I work with, says, well, we look up the corporation, because not all companies that you stole from, or there could be franchises. I don't know how that works. Don't quote me on it. But, I stole from Cumberland Farms. I stole from JCPenney. I stole from my family. So these are the things what I do is I withdraw from my account. I put it into a money order, and I mail it off to the corporation with a letter. And I put in that letter, if there's any further action you need to take, here's my phone number. That's what I do. Because essentially I could have gone to that Cumberland Farms I stole from in Brimfield, but again, is it the Cumberland Farms Corporation, or is it owned separately? So you don't know. So, that's why we have sponsorship. That's why my sponsor directs me, because they have experience with this. So, just quickly, like I said, if I skimp on any of this work, I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I'm going to retreat back to what my mind knows best, and that's drinking and drugging. So I don't take, like I said, I don't take this work for granted anymore, and I practice all of this work. So my experience, with my amends, most of them have been very good. Actually, all of them. It's my fear that tells me that they're going to go bad. And so the truth is, a lot of people were like, yeah, you just were sick. I could see that you were suffering. These are earthling people, whatever you want to call them. I think we're all people. I don't distinguish myself so different from a non-alcoholic. I'm a human being. You know what I mean? So they say, you were just suffering. I could see it, but there was nothing I could do. I'm just glad that you're well today. But my mind tells me they hate me. They don't want to hear from me. They're going to have me arrested. This fear that crops up, and that's why we have the fear prayer, and that's why I have a relationship with God today. So, sometime back I actually made 2 direct amends in one day, which was kind of pretty cool. And the one of them was an old boss that I had, and he was like, I don't understand. What was the harm? He's like, I'm not seeing this here. He's like, I thought we got along. I'm like, the truth is, the harm is I based what I thought of you off of what other people thought of you, so I never gave you a chance as a human being to see who you were or got to know you, because I used other people's opinions to distinguish you as that. He's like, holy crap. He was just like, wow. He's like, that's pretty deep stuff. He's like, wow, that AA stuff's pretty deep. I'm like, it is. It's life-changing. And, that next amend that same day, it was an ex-girlfriend in high school. And I was drunk one night, and what I did is I keyed her car and I kicked in her hubcaps, because she didn't agree with the fact that I lied that I slept with her. She wouldn't agree to that lie. So she was telling people I was lying, which was the truth. I never slept with her. And she was like, so I'm like, why aren't you agreeing with me? Because she's like, it didn't happen. I'm like, but I flipped that in my mind, and it was her fault. So I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to kick in your hubcaps. I'm going to key the crap out of your car. So that was in high school. Stuff we do under the influence. And I spoke to her on the phone. She lives in upstate New York. I said, I will drive up there if you want. She's like, that's not necessary. She's married. There's no relationships going to happen. There's no ulterior motives there, but she's married. She has kids now. She's upstate New York. And my sponsor said, be willing. If they say drive up there, you're going to drive up there. That's the work you have to do here. So we spoke, and I offered this. I said, these are the things that I did. I don't know if you had to pay for those repairs. Is there a way that I can repay you back? Is there funds that I can give you? She said, the truth is, Brian, I understand now kind of what you did when you did it. She's like, but I got the repairs done for free at a local high school. And I was like, that's great. Then I said, well, Do you have any idea of what the cost might have been that the school had to endure to fix your car? Because if you want, I will give that money to a charity. And she's like, it's all good. I said, okay, I'm not going to push it more than that. And then there was times where I've reached out and made demonstrations. I heard nothing back, and my sponsor at that time said, mail a letter. Mail a letter. I said, okay. So I'm following the guidance of what other people have done in here, and that guidance works, so I'm not going to question it. And and then I have direct amends to family that I've done, and it's amazing how some of those have come about, where I'll be sitting in a meeting and I'm praying on what I should be doing, and God says, make an amend to your brother. He deserves an amend, and this is what you did. Okay, and the same thing with my mother and my sister, and there's some other direct amends that I have to make, but I'm willing to make them today. I'm not hesitant to make my amends today. And my life is actually really, really good. It really is. And I just, like I said, I continue to do this latter work because I don't want to go back to the place I was at almost 2 years ago. And that was just an awful place to be. And I don't have to go back there again. So what I do is I pray for honesty every day, because if I'm dishonest in any area of my life, that corrodes every aspect of my life. And I can't live that way. And, and it talks about in here, because there have been, because like I've shared in the past that, I have a magical magnifying mind that tells me crap that, like, well, if you treated me this way, then that I wouldn't have harmed you this way. And it talks about that. It says, my sponsor said at the time, he's like, Brian, you need to put out anything that they might have done to you, because this is not about you, it's about them. Not meaning putting blame on them, but if you're going out to make an amend, to feel better yourself, or just to get it done, he's like, that's selfish. You should not be doing that amend. It's like, wow. I'm like, this is really deep, man. And that's been the case. So if ultimately I'm making amends today, not so I can say I got through my list here at these meetings. I'm making amends because I know how I feel, and that relationship I have with God is so much better when I do it. So when I go out to make my amends today, like I said, I write it out, I talk to my sponsor, and I go for it. And the result is up to God. So I'm not going to balk anymore. I've balked for too many years of my life, and it's kept me very sick. And it says right here in paragraph 8, second paragraph on page 83, the spiritual life is not a theory, we have to live it. And I love this paragraph too, because I was one of those people, unless one's family expresses a desire to live upon spiritual principles, we think we have not urged them. We should not talk incessantly to them about spiritual matters. They will change in time. Our behavior will convince them. They will change. We must remember that 10 or 20 years of drunkenness would make a skeptic out of anyone. I used to live along this line. This is where I would cause more harm, right? Like, well, you should live this way because now I'm living this way. Like, what? My family would look at me like, what is your problem? Like, I don't have to live that way. I'm not the one who has trouble with life. I'm not the one who has trouble with substances. These are not what they're saying, but, what I've learned is that my family reserves the right to not hear my opinion anymore on how they should live and what they should be doing. They don't need to meet me or accept me for where I'm at. I need to go to them and meet them and accept them for who they are, and do the work on myself, right? So that's what it talks about when I have to live this spiritual life. And the truth is, there are some wrongs we can never fully right. We don't worry about them. We can honestly say to ourselves that we'd right them if we could. And that's me changing my behaviors and my actions. And some people cannot be seen. We send them an honest letter. One of my amends is I went to my grandparents' grave, and I made my amends at their gravesite. And that's all pretty powerful stuff. That's what all the stuff. That's all God, man. You know, that's all God. So, you know, I'm at this point, you know, where I've come up to this point, the 9th step, and hopefully I'm not responding to life like a child anymore, and I'm able to walk through life on life's terms with an adult attitude and be present for my relationships and the people in my life. And that's where the healing comes from, you know, is doing this work. This is how I heal. You know, because I've heard people share that, you know, you should put yourself on the list. I don't agree with that at all. I already think about myself way too much. Why should I be on this list? My sponsor's like, you don't dare put yourself on the 4th step either. He's like, you think about yourself way too much. It's the same thing with the 8-step list. The healing comes in this work. Your relationships heal through this work. You know, I could sit back for years and figure out how to forgive myself, then I'm not present to do this work because I'm still thinking about myself. That's the problem. I think about myself way too much. So what I have today is I have a spiritual solution because I woke up this morning, I got on my knees, I did my prayer and meditation, I did my reading, and I chose God this morning. I didn't choose Brian. I chose God. So I'm really grateful to be sitting here this morning, and these promises, even all the promises throughout this book are very much in my life today. I'm very much living in the spiritual solution today and the spiritual principles today. So these promises are coming true in my life today. And I'm very grateful for that. So I want to hear from you folks, but I'm just grateful and I'm with this because I love it. Either God is or he isn't. God is today very much in my life. So wherever you are in this work, God is very much present and he will guide you through this work. So set aside the fear and do it because you lived it. So just do it. And I'll pass with that. Thank you.
Thanks,